Another analogy that I'll share quickly here. A lot of people treat real estate like fishermen, and it's not. It's a garden. And most clients, when you get online leads, they're like root vegetables.
I'm so excited to spend a couple minutes here with my good friend Sam Ireland. He's a gentleman and a scholar. A great person, just a good dude, and appreciate you spending a bit of time to give us some insights. Now, I know you have a lot of aspects to your business. You've been licensed since 2003, same year as me, and joined REMAX early 2020. And I know that you have a lot of aspects of your business, but wanted to pick your brain and get some insights on working with online leads as a source, mindset, systems, that type of thing. And so I appreciate you taking a few minutes to share with me what's working for you, and also the audience that we have here. So yeah, why don't you kind of get into it? You were talking a little bit about more of the mindset end to start things off.
Yeah, well, and the mindset doesn't change no matter where the lead comes from. And that's why I was talking before we started recording about how I wanted to start. Use an analogy. Back in 2003 to about 2012, there was a lot of paper advertising, and I was one of the last guys to continue to support the Real Estate Weekly and the back page. It was funny. I think, was it Monday? You had to fax it in right at noon in order to make the
forenoon or right at noon.
Yeah, it was like 11:45, and it was a round robin, and it was always me and Bob Maskell, and there was a few other guys that were fighting for that back page. But I would get a back page lead. And the funny thing about the paper is it's very much like online. It's just everybody's online for media now. They're online for news. They're searching online. That's where they are. They're not looking in the newspaper anymore. Right. But just to, give a mindset around that, when I would get a call off of the back page, or somebody would log onto my website and pull up more information, they had to register, because I had an old Redmond site back when Redmond Technologies was huge. And, they had the whole tie right into the Paragon system, or back then it was ML Exchange, I think.
Yep. Aurora. Yeah.
Aurora, yeah, right. Yeah. So the leads were very similar, and they weren't cold calls. And I know that the mindset around web leads and online leads right now for a lot of the newer agents are like, oh, do I have to? But realistically, it's like a gym. I mean, that's where you build your muscles, is with those cool calls. And the reason people have clicked online on your listing and on your ad is because they want more information. They're dreaming. Most of them will say, yeah, I'm browsing, but you know what? Browsing is just a stall. It's not an objection. So the trick is getting around that, asking some open-ended questions, using form, family, occupation, recreation, motivation. Why is it they clicked on that ad, and converting that person in from a D or a C, because most online leads start off as C or D, right? It's you got to weed through and find that top 5%. Because realistically, it is about 5%. You're looking about 1 in 20. That's somebody that's ready, willing, and able, and to do something right away. But most of them too are stalling, because how many websites nowadays do they say the average buyer is looking at online before they choose a realtor and a listing?
A dozen, I think. Yeah, a dozen.
Easily 12. So how do we stand out from the noise, right? That's obviously online presence, being unique and creative. I know one of the things I used to like to do on the back page ad was have a cute write-up, lonely realtor seeking buyer for 3-bedroom listing, soon to be vacant, immediate possession available. I like long walks on the beach and hiking, and that might be a match for you, right? Something along those lines. It's little things to stand out like that, right? And you see more and more people doing those things, but there's still not enough. So it's how do we break through those 12 other sites? And the thing is, it's just like everything else. The 80-20 rule applies. If they've looked at 10 websites, I guarantee you they've only received 2 or 3 calls.
Right.
Because it's the top 10 to 20%.
Honestly, if that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the paper leads into the online leads. My website back then generated a lot of leads as well. I wanted to figure out where I was at last year, and my own personal web leads. Now, when I say web leads, online leads, I'm talking about MLS, realtor.ca, my own website, even my own social media blasts, personally, privately. So my personal web lead last year, social media and sites, was 11%. And then the sync site was 9.5. So really 20%, over 20% of my business last year was from online business. And then almost 20% above that was repeat and referral from people that were previous web leads. Because all those people turn into additional leads. A client's like a tree. You want as many branches to branch off of them as possible. So find out how you can, maneuver around. It's what's a bonsai tree? Like really, every client can be a bonsai tree. They can be beautiful, but it's up to us as professionals to find a way to coax and create that tree in the rule of seven, right? The 7 to 12 clients in the next year or two. They say every client's worth $115,000 in their lifetime.
In their lifetime. Yeah. So staying in touch with people it's still one of the most basic conversations I have with agents that are, business planning or having struggles. What are we doing to stay in touch and stay in flow with your current people, right? Like the people that you know. But the online leads and what you're talking about is more new business, those people that you don't know, right? And so, one thing I heard you say is Sync, which is a online lead platform for those that don't know. Other comparables are like, KV Core and Boomtown, Tiger Leads, a few of these that are online lead platforms where you're paying money to do ad spend to attract eyeballs, right? But other thing I did hear you say is like, no, I know that that's not necessarily a now business, but I want to build the relationship, stand out, be their realtor until they, before I'm their realtor, right?
Exactly.
Be that relationship. And that knowing that could be a 6 or 1 year, 6 month or 1 year out actual transaction, as long as you stay, provide value and stay in conversation. But what other people also don't necessarily think about is they're so focused on that one deal right now that they forget that person probably has family, they probably know other people, have friends, are in groups. And if they have a great experience, or when they have a great experience with you, they'll be a raving fan going forward. And now they're a past client or a current client, and they, become your cheerleaders, right? And that's your repeat and referral business, which is how much of your business was last year?
53.1%.
Yeah. So you're constantly adding people to that list.
57.1.
Yeah. Amazing. I love that.
Right. Yeah. And it could be higher. I want to get it higher this year. I want more repeat and referral this year than I have in previous years. But I mean, there was a lot more new business the last 2 years because of the way the market was. Speed to lead, jumping on that person within the first couple hours of them sending an inquiry. I mean, that's why when the market's hot, you see those cream of the crop really rise to the top. I use another analogy that I'll share quickly here. A lot of people treat real estate like fishermen, and it's not. It's a garden. And most clients, when you get online leads, they're like root vegetables. They're like garlic. Garlic you have to plant the fall before. And the garlic won't come up until the next fall. It's a full 12-month commitment. And your clients that are in your garden, you might have some snow peas and they produce in the first couple of months, which is cool. You know what? But you got to have an entire garden. You got to have your root vegetables. You got to have your peas. You got to have your beans. You got to have your kale. And I know nobody likes kale, but sometimes you find a kale client. You know what? No, those are those vegans in the kale. Maybe that's your niche. Maybe you never know, right? Online vegan leads. But I mean, it's more a garden. You got to tend them. When they need sun, make sure they're getting sun. When they need rain, make sure they're getting rain. Make sure you're picking the weeds around them. If there's other realtors sniffing around your client, pick that weed.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's good. Now I heard you say one thing about like speed to lead. And so getting away from the mindset piece, what are some of the systems that you do to like make sure that you're going into the platform? What are your non-negotiables or your daily routine when it comes to this lead source, online leads?
So if I'm busy, I like to make sure that there is an in-person touch in that first day. So the same day they log on, they're getting something from me. If I can't call them right away, I send them a quick text with an open-ended question. I'll be like, hey, I tried to call, but I am just heading into an appointment. Maybe the call dropped. When's the best time to call you back? I have availability at 2, or would 5 p.m. be better? When do you get off work, right?
Nothing I like the option. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, exactly. You brought that up the other day, and I had actually forgotten to implement that in some of my latest message strategies. So I'm going to put it back in there, right? You could do a checkup back from the neck up and get back on the rails regularly, following a 12-week year strategy. Breaking it up every 3 months and starting fresh again at 0 is a lot easier to break down your entire year that way. And then you're always resetting with those clients. So those B, C, and D leads that are garlic that aren't going to, produce till next year. Well, you know what? It's good to call them. And if a listing pops up and they viewed it 3 to 5 times, I find a quick text or call to say, hey, I see you viewed that property over 3 times. I wanted to let you know I'm going to be in the area. I was thinking about previewing it. If I'm going to be there this weekend, are you going to be in the area? Did you want to pop by and see
Right.
it as well? I can open the door for you, right? Things like that. This is how you stand out. If somebody signed up on 10 websites and there's only 2 realtors calling, or maybe 3, and you're the
Yeah.
one that does the open-ended question and sews into the client and really provides that next level of service, find out where they live now and drop off a buyer package, right? Drop off a
Great.
little buyer pamphlet, some
Love
information.
that.
Yeah.
And so, so I have 2, I guess, quick questions.
Sure.
What kind of time are you putting into calling, and do you set like a specific goal as far as conversations or touches, or how are you making sure that you're giving it attention?
So for me personally, I've been doing it for so long that I'm pretty efficient. I find that I can make all my calls in under an hour a week.
Okay. Okay.
And I find that a really good conversation is under 10 minutes. Like if there's somebody that's really serious, I can get all the information and really provide value and kind of stand out within 10 minutes. Think about a Safeway line conversation. How are you going to connect to that person and make them remember you when you're out of the line?
Nice. Like your elevator pitch sort of thing,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But
Elevator and the
oral.
line at Safeway, Costco, like you're always talking to people. Well,
Yeah.
practice on them too, right? And then use that for the online lead. And an online lead is not a cold call. A lot of people are like,
Right.
oh, I don't want to make cold calls. I remember back in the day, I think it was Leader's Choice. Mark Leader was talking about how you could drop him in any city, give him a
Yeah.
phone book and a bag of quarters, and he would have business within a week or 2. Because he just
Yeah.
calls people, hey, do you want to sell? Hey, do you
Right.
want to sell? Hey, do you want to sell? Well, that was the old way to doing it. But the same fundamental strategy works. Call that person as soon as they've logged on. They're still hot. They're still looking at that listing, or it's fresh in their mind. So if you call them and say, hey, you looked at that property 3 times, that's an amazing garage. Is that important to you?
Great. And and so when you're actually in conversation with somebody, because I think there are a lot of no answers or wrong numbers and like rejection, I guess, right? Ghosting and things like that. And so I guess mentally, how do you deal with that?
No, it's the go for no. You've got the book. And really, that's what it
Yeah.
is. I make sure to make that phone call. And if I'm not getting a no, I keep asking open-ended questions until I do.
Great. Okay. And then when you're in conversation with somebody, I would assume the ultimate goal is to at some point transition to an in-person appointment.
Absolutely.
Now, do you typically go for showing a property or properties, or do you look at meeting at the office or somewhere to do a buyer's needs assessment or buyer consultation meeting? Which is the direction you tend to go?
Sure. So for me, I'd say 80% of the time, so 4 out of 5, I'm going to meet them at a property.
Yeah, I
And
would
then
think so
1
too.
out of
Yeah.
5, because I want to get to meet them in person, walk them through a door, find out what their real wants and needs are. Because buyers are liars until they meet you in person, and then you can see it, right? But 1 out of 5, where was I going with that? I can't remember now. Anyway.
Buyer consultation meeting.
Right. So 1 out of 5, I'll do a meeting at lunch. Like if it's a really good connection, I have somebody over the phone, I'll ask them out for lunch. I'll be like, hey, I got a foodie page on Facebook. I've got over 1,200 members on there now. Are you a foodie as well? Where are you? I mean, maybe I'll pop into your area. I love that restaurant down the street from you. Well, how about we meet for lunch? Then I'll buy them lunch. Let me tell you, you break bread with a brand new client, you pay for lunch, you buy them a beer, you talk about their wants and needs, you talk about your family, you talk about what they do for work, what they do for fun, the form thing again. At the end of it, they will be your client for life. This is, you pick up the bill and you say, thanks so much for their time. And the reason for your doing everything you're doing isn't just for them and the one sale. It's because our business is built around ambassadorship. If they know someone that's thinking about buying or selling over the next year, we want to be top of mind. So how can we do that?
Yeah, I think, and you hit on a couple of really great points. And honestly, nothing you're doing is revolutionary or terribly difficult. It's quite just simple. Sounds like consistency matters. And I love that, like, you do have a foodie page. So if you're not following, we'll make sure that the link is in the video here. So follow Sam's foodie page in Edmonton. And what's great is that you get to plug that, and it feeds into your personality and your characteristics, and that art of reciprocation, right? When you do something for somebody else, we as humans want to repay that in some way. And by, their referrals or their patronage, that's one way to, to establish that relationship, right? So
Absolutely. And buying lunch for someone covers a lot of the 5 love languages. So find your client's love language. Is it quality time? Well, guess what? You just spent an hour and a half shooting the shit, eating lunch. Is it acts of service? Well, you just picked up the bill. You know, is it gifts? Well, you just paid for their lunch, you know. Is it physical touch? Make sure you shake their hand if they're having a tough time, if they're struggling, if it's a divorce sale, you know, patting them on the shoulder, making sure you're doing those things.
Yeah, love that. Great tips. And as always, all our great agents, collaborative industry leaders. Sam is always willing to lend an ear and also share his advice. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you want to send him some referrals, I think he hearts them as well, right? So
absolutely,
go ahead, do that.
Yeah, I think 7% of my business last year was referrals from other agents from other markets. So
amazing. I love that. And know your numbers. That's another session that we obviously have to have a conversation on. But hey, thanks for your time and your insights on online leads. Really much appreciate it. You're the best. Thanks. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Shane. Cheers.
All right. Take care.